Hey, Shalom, Shalom, and stuff. So, it's about giving no praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahshai, Bashem, Makakwadash, the bloods, the apostles, GMS, and honest brothers doing the work in truth, while sincerity. This one is inspired from basically, I was at the job earlier on. It was a Jake, white Jake. Obviously looks like the so-called, he looks like a so-called rhino, but he's a Jake. Right, we just come back from holiday, and he had been burnt, right? He had been sunburnt, right? And ultimately having that look, having that leprosy, that's a curse, man, right? That so-called white skin, that's a curse from the Most High, right? And that's why these Edomites, man, they're really the ones that don't look right, right? Jake, and I'll get it, as King Solomon has said, right? Having that dark skin, that's the real beauty, man. Right, but hey, surely your turning of things upside down, right, shall be esteemed as a potter's clay, right? Pursuant to Isaiah 29:16, because the way he looks is esteemed, right? Yet, man can't even go on holiday without getting bun up, right? Which I've always found, ever since I started learning a few things, I've always found that hilarious, man. Here it is, they can actually afford, to go to the nice holidays for long periods of time, right? But they can't enjoy themselves because, they go out one day and then for the rest of the holiday, they're indoors with sunburn, man, right? This is Genesis 2:7. It says, and Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground, right? Now, the real, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, the best ground that you have, right, the best dust, that you have is really dark, right? So when the Lord made man was dark, man, right? That's how he was designed to be, right? But through process of time, you had you get a coloration. But in terms of Esau, right, the so-called white man, that mark of leprosy, that so-called white skin that was put on him by the Lord as a curse, right? It says, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, right? And man became a living soul, right? This is Genesis 4:15. It says, and Yahweh said unto him, therefore whoso slayeth Cain, right, vengeance shall be taken upon him sevenfold. And the Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him, right? So he was given that that mark of leprosy, right? And it's like I said, Esau there. That's because spiritually, Esau and Cain are the same person, right? So it says there, and Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, right? Because Cain was the murderer from the beginning. You read that is in is it John 8:64? Well, Lord Yahweh Shai says, look, man, ye of your father the devil. In fact, let me grab that. That's like I can't spell. This is John 8:44. Right, it says, ye are of your father the devil. This is Yahweh Shai speaking to Israelites, right? Yahweh Shai here is saying, these Israelites that he was talking to, is like, you of your father the devil, referencing Esau, right? And it says, and the loss of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, right? And abode not in the truth, right? Now, this is Cain, right? Which is why basically this reference is made, that Esau and Cain are the same individual, right? Because Cain was a murderer from the beginning, right? And he was a liar, because that's what's just happened here in this story. He just killed his brother, right? Because his brother did the right thing, right? And Esau did the wrong thing, right? Just like how in in the case of Jacob and Esau, right? Jacob was righteous, right? But Esau, right, he was profane, right? And he was he basically sold his birthright, but then he wanted to complain like a bitch. Yet, Jacob didn't do anything wrong, and Esau wanted to slay him, just like how Abel didn't do anything wrong, and Cain wanted to slay him, right? So it says that, ye of your father the devil, and the loss of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him, right? when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Right? Hey, because Most High asked him when Abel was dead. Most High asked Cain, like, look, man, where's your brother? And what did he do? He lied. Right? He's like, I don't know. Right? Am I my brother's keeper? Right? This is Psalms 58:3, referencing Esau. Now it says, the wicked are estranged from the womb; they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So the Edomites are basically written as being liars, man. Right? So that's just going into that. So the mark that was put on Cain, right, who would later come back as Esau, right, progenitor of the Edomites, right, that mark was leprosy, man. That so-called white skin, right, that leprous skin. When you want to get technical and basically go into the scriptures, right. So read that. And it says, this is Leviticus 13:13, right? It says, this whole chapter is going in on, the mark of leprosy and stuff like that, right? This goes on so-called white skin, blonde hair, right? So it says, Leviticus 13:13 says, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean. Right, so to basically look like they do, right, you really have leprosy, man. Right, that's a curse of leprosy according to the scriptures. Right, ain't nothing to be parading throughout the world. Right, you really should be ashamed of yourself. And in the ancient world, you would have been set apart. Oh, actually, no. In this instance, if it's all turned white, you're clean. Right, but if you was patchy, right, then you would have been set apart, man. Right. But once again, in this world, it's praised. Why? Because the wicked are in rulership. And as I quoted before, Isaiah 29:16, right, surely you're turning of things upside down. That's what he's done in his rulership. Like, you have that model, right? I forget her name, but she's got like proper, she's a proper unclean leper. She's all patchy, looking like a fucking, reverse cow and shit, right? But what's Esau done? He's basically said, oh my God, look how beautiful she is. She's not. She's cursed, man. Well, which just shows you, Spirit had me do a video on pride yesterday, which shows you the pride of these people, because here it is, she's cursed from the Most High, but she's proud about it. That's lauded, man. I mean, and that's the ridiculous state that we're living in. Right, and I said, when you go down into this chapter, it speaks about the yellow thin hair, and when you look up blonde, right, blonde is described as yellow thin hair. Right, so Genesis 25:25 says, and the same came out red all over like a hairy. Verse from 24 says, and when her days were to be delivered, right, it says, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. Right, now in the Hebrew, it's like Shashua, which means wasted away is he, right? Because he looks wasted. Right, in fact, we'll actually we'll get that whole point about looking wasted away in the next chapter in Numbers 12. Right, says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. Right, and Isaac was 70 years old when she bare them. Right, now, reason why that happened, he reads 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, where it basically speaks about how Esau, basically this account, and it's basically proving that happened because the Lord was foreshadowing Esau taking down Jacob, right? When you read 2nd Ezra 6 and 8 and 9, right? It says, but yeah, once again, why wasn't, as Akim have asked many times, how comes how Jacob wasn't mentioned? Why? Because Jacob looked normal, right? Esau didn't look normal, right? And thus his name was an omen, right? Just like how Jacob was an omen, right? Jacob, your Iquab, right? Supplanter, right? Esau, Shashua, wasted away is he, right? It's in Numbers 12 and 10. It says, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous white as snow. So basically, Miriam was talking shit to Moses, Aaron and Miriam, right? But just to show you, the fact that in the eyes of the Most High, woman ain't shit, right? A woman is below a man, rather. Let me phrase it that way, right? Both Aaron and Moses and Miriam were talking shit, but Miriam is the one that got smoked, right? Says, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous, right? And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, right? I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, right? So they were like, oh man, oh fuck, yo man, yo Miriam's fucked up, man, shit. Aaron was lamenting, hey Lord, hey, lay not this sin upon us, man. Hey, look, man, she looks all kind of messed up right now, right? That's what was going on there, right? And it goes on to say, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned, right? It says, and let her not be as one dead, right? So basically, Miriam looked like a so-called white woman. They was like, look, man, let her not be as one dead, right? Thus why Esau was called Esau. I shush or wasted away is he, right? It says, let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, wasted away, right? And when he cometh out, is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb, right? And Moses cried unto Yahweh, saying, heal her now, oh Most High, I beseech thee, I beg thee, Baba Kasha, right? She don't look for it, Baba Kasha, right? But look at the contrast, right? Now, in here you got a mistranslation, which when you read, the Hebrew manuscript, right? And I'll get to it. It's Songs of Solomon 1 and 5, right? It's written by King Solomon, right? It says, I am black, but comely, right? Now, the word comely means beautiful, right? Now, the mistranslation I was referencing was that word there, but, right? Because in the Hebrew, that's not there. It's really and, right? So I'm black and beautiful, right? O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon, right? This is Jeremiah 14 and 2, says, Judah mourneth, right? And the gates thereof languish, they are black, right? And the word there for black is Kedar, right? Which means dark skinned, right? It says, they are black unto the ground, right? And the cry of Jerusalem has gone up, right? So real Jews are black, right? King Solomon said he was black and said he was beautiful, right? Just like when so-called, so-called white man, when a so-called black man is in the sun, what happens? He gets darker, right? It starts shining, right? However, right, with Esau, he gets burnt, man. He turns all red, he gets burnt, and that's, the inspiration of this whole video, right? Now, end this, because ultimately, what that shows you is Esau doesn't belong, right? He ain't supposed to be here, right? But hey, after 1,000 years of hardcore slavery in the sun, getting sunburned all day long, right? What do you call it? You gonna get, the error is gonna be corrected, right? Your, your lack of belonging, right, will be addressed, and you will no longer belong. As Obadiah 1:18 says, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh hath spoken it. Right? So the whole house of Esau, the all so-called Edomites, or so-called white people, known biblically as the Edomites, they ain't gonna be in the kingdom. There ain't gonna be no need for them. There ain't gonna be no need for the wicked in the kingdom, right? Because what does Scripture say? Right, that we seek a kingdom wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? In the kingdom of righteousness, right, after the balance has been meet, there ain't no need for Esau, right? So as always, those were those edifying. Until the next time, I'm gonna say Shalom.